Call planning and zoning meeting to order. Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Marcus Major.
Here.
Jaden Bailey.
Here.
Alan Stewart.
Here.
William Gutcheck.
Here.
I'm here. Doug Tisdale.
Istead.
Sorry. Robert Owens. No. Steve Skeet. Here. Will Schmidt.
Here.
Okay. Approval of minutes.
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote. Marcus Major.
Yes.
Jaden Bailey.
Yes.
Alan Stewart.
Yes.
William Gotchick.
Yes.
Doug Tysted.
Yes.
Robert Owens, no. Steve Skeet.
Yes.
Will Schmidt.
Yes.
Passes. Secretary's report.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. Before you, on your places or seats, there were a few comments that were for the variance case, the BZA 23-005. They unfortunately did not make it into the agenda packet, but we wanted to make sure you guys had them today. We will update the agenda packet on the website tomorrow. So please be sure to pull those out when we get to that case number. And then in addition to that, that variance is tied to one of the plats that you guys will be considering today. So staff is asking that after we hold the comprehensive plan annual review case, that we adjourn the Planning Commission, open the Board of Zoning Appeals to consider that case, and then go back to the Planning Commission once that's done. So are there any objections to handling it that way?
Doesn't look like it. Think we're good?
Okay.
One of us still sits out on the planning
During the Board of Zoning Appeals, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then joins back in.
Correct.
Okay. Any declarations? Oh, no, we got to vote on. Do we put on? No, we don't vote on the report.
No, not on Secretary's report.
Okay. Any declarations? Nope. Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Give to Alan. Okay. Roll call vote. Marcus Major.
Yes.
Jaden Bailey.
Yes.
Alan Stewart.
Yes.
William Gotcheck.
Yes.
Doug Tysted.
Yes.
No. Steve Skeet.
Yes.
Will Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay. That passes. Okay. First, no, consent agenda. Regular agenda. 11 County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 22-163 and 164. Sarlis, second edition, as outlined in the posted agenda.
That was on the
Oh,
consent.
sorry. Give me a minute. Where are we? Oh, regular agenda for Armstrong. Okay. 11th County Planning Commission will now consider case DEV 22-166, a rezoning report from RR5 to RR2.5 zoning district as outlined in the posted agenda. Secretary's report.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. Before you is a rezone request. This is case DEV 22-166. This is for property located at 20809 225th Street, and includes a little bit of the property surrounding it to the, well, on the north and west sides. So this is a rezone request for 5 acres in total, as you can see in your the description, or 5.79 acres in total, as you can see in the rezone exhibit that was attached to the application. In looking at this case, there was a couple of things that needed to be considered. The applicant is submitting this even though the future land use map designation would not support this. The future land use map would support it immediately to the east across 225th Street. So if you would look at the exhibit that shows the future land use map, the applicant thinks that is a strong enough requirement or strong enough case to be made that they would be able to split this property eventually into 2 separate parcels. This property needs to be 5.7 acres or 5.8 acres almost in order to split it in 2 because of the location of the outbuildings, the accessory buildings. If you see them, they are in the center of the property. And would require that there be more acreage added to the property to the north in order to be able to split it off. We provided you a staff report that considered the golden factors. Staff considers 3 of them to not be met, but like I said, the future land use map supports 2.5-acre subdivisions immediately to the east. But the staff's recommendation would be for denial for this rezone. I stand open for any questions that you may have. The applicant is here to answer any questions that you might have as well.
Okay, upon opening the public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against the items upon recognition will give your name and address each time you begin to speak. This is necessary since the public hearing is being recorded. Anyone? Will the applicant come forward?
Here he is.
Joe Herring, Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street, I guess is my address. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Staff presented this very well. The 2.5-acre comp plan is directly east and on the center line of 225th Street. And for those that were around during the comp plan and discussion, one of the goals was to avoid situations where a road allows for one zone to be on one side of the road and an opposite zone to be on the other side of the road. That's why it always tried to until that. It couldn't happen. It's not a perfect world. This is also very similar to the case that you guys heard 3 months ago on a 2.5-acre rezone of just a specific track that got denied by the board but was remanded back to your board from the BOCC for a situation that was family. You got the Armstrong family on the south and the grandmother's house is on the north. I think that's a key factor because it does abut 2.5-acre zoning or potential 2.5-acre zoning to the east. And the other issue here is it already has 2 houses on it. There's an additional ground that surrounds it. By being able to split this 5-point-something acres, it's not creating any new buildable tracts. They could already add a 3rd house there. That's not their goal. Their goal is to take the remainder part outside of the blue, along with their property that they own to the north, an additional 20 acres, where they are building their new house. So it's to keep a larger tract together, in essence. What they're trying to do is create the smallest possible tract out so they could create these 2.5-acre tracts without infringing upon the access road to the west, the drainage ditch, or the ponds to the west. So again, it was much like the 203rd Street one. That just rezoning that track. We're not rezoning the whole thing. It's not getting rezoned to build a bunch of houses out here. The infrastructure doesn't support it. And the traffic out there, the roads are gravel right there. It is paved to the east. But, so, any questions?
So is block number 9 up there is 5.7 acres, is that
I believe that's 5
5.
acres?
with right of way. Yeah, 5.
And so you want to split that into 2.5 acre plot, or
Right, there's 2 houses on it, so it's hard to get financing for 2 houses to sell them together. It's, banks don't like that.
Will the division support, because as I look at the picture, they're close, so does each house have a distinct 2.5 acre plot, or are we going to have to then draw some strange lines?
No, these will be straight line division between the structures.
You see what I'm looking at up there? You've got the big structure under the number 9, and then another structure almost due north of it, or at least looks like another structure. And if you look where the 9 is, and I understand we're dealing off maps and not to scale and so forth, but each will have a 2.5 acre.
The south track, where the 9 is, will be a little larger, and I think Josh specified that we have to take a little portion of the parcel 8 and include this in the rezone so we can avoid any conflict with the accessory structures that are on the property. So we meet all setbacks, and we don't have to go with angled lines around structures.
Okay, so not to scale, but it's going to be a little bit farther to the north.
Just
correct?
a little bit farther to the north, yes, and that's the description that we're asking to rezone. So,
Okay.
With the ultimate goal of having those 2 as their individual and then 8 as its new individual property with a new house on it.
8 will not have a house on it. There's a parcel to the north of it that they're already building on. 8 will remain vacant farm ground.
Oh, okay.
That goes along with their ponds and their trails through there. So to create the smallest tracts possible and retain the largest tract for themselves.
So do we need to have something in writing that says it won't be a 5 acre plot, it'll be a 5.8 in order to do it, Joe, or what?
That's part of the application that came in said the property that's being rezoned is 5.8 acres.
Oh, okay, 5.8,
Or
okay.
5.79, I think.
We provided the new description that
Okay.
that entails that 5.8 for this reason.
Okay. So we're asking for 5.8 to be split into 2.5 acre or a little more, whatever.
To be rezoned, yes.
So where those 2 homes are on separate lots.
Yeah, and there would be no
Once the-
additional building structures or no more build sites created by this, not increasing anything on the water line, not increasing anything on the traffic, other than what's already going on out there right now.
Yeah.
There's no intent to build anything else. So, thank you.
We will now hear from those individuals present wish to speak in favor of the request.
Oh, the zones.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, this gentleman may have some questions on the matter, and if you folks could speak up a little bit, he's having some trouble hearing.
Okay.
I'm hard of hearing, so I can't hear anything that you guys said. My name is Bob Flora. I live on Mitchell Road, west of him. I don't understand this. First of all, why is that house there in the first place that close? I mean, somebody had to okay this to be built there to begin with, it looks to me like. And we wouldn't have had this problem splitting 5 acres off into 2.5. If it had been moved on down, he had plenty of room. He could have moved it down farther. But now that it's happened, what are you going to do? I want to know if these 2.5 acres plus or minus is going to run from the north side of his property or the east side of his property to the south side, a narrow strip from property line to property line.
So what we are dealing with is the rezone right now, but what has been presented is you would have a parcel up on the north side and then on the south side. You'd be splitting it in the down the center.
Right. All right, if you run east to west, the property line between the two houses you want to separate,
Yeah, correct.
is it going to run from one property line west to the other property line, all the way across? Because
Just on
he's
this
got a-
parcel.
Well, so on this parcel,
Well, if you can, yeah.
So the line will divide between there, just on the light blue parcel. It'll go from 235th Street, but it'll stop at the light blue line. It will not go all the way west over towards, through their ponds or anything.
Right.
It won't touch the property, it won't touch
Okay,
parcel
so
7.
my question is, he's still going to have a road up through there on that west side. There's a road there now.
That trail, yeah.
Well, I don't like that. That's just more development out there, because what he'll do is, he owns way back in behind there, he'll be selling property back there. So that's going to be more houses in there too. If he's going to do it, I propose that he runs from one boundary line to the other, a narrow strip, all the way, from property line to property line. And that way, that stops anybody from coming in there and building in there. It's getting ridiculous out there now. And I've got some other questions. Is there a limit on road frontage when you split like that? What is it 300 yards for 5 acres? Is that what it is? I don't remember.
In the rural residential 5 zoning district, it's 300 feet.
300 feet.
In the proposed district that they're wanting to rezone to is 200 feet of road
Each one would
frontage.
have 200.
Each one would have to have 200 feet.
Okay, so what's the minimum? I guess I'm asking
The minimum would be the 200
The
feet
200.
if the rezoning is approved.
if anybody else were to do it. Okay.
Right.
Another question I have, right across the road from him, we have a junkyard that's been there for years. It wasn't really a big problem when Alvy Wise owned it, but he's passed on and his grandson's got it now. And he's built it up, which is, he's making money. He's going to build it up better than it was. But it's created a lot more traffic out there. And I want to make sure that either one of these houses can't be zoned commercial later across the road that you're proposing here.
If they wanted to be zoned commercial, they would have to come through this process again and ask for rezoning to a commercial district. So it would require another public hearing, another level of this review, and then again to the Board of County Commissioners for final decision. That's what they would need to do to get it rezoned to a commercial zoning district.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I've never been to one of these before, don't know anything about them. I'm just asking a lot of questions. If that were to happen, how would I know that it was being zoned? I just happened to see the sign up there on this one.
So by state statute, we have to notify everybody within 1,000 feet of the boundaries of the property that's being rezoned.
Well, I'm farther down than that.
Right. So, but we also put that sign in the yard, so anybody passing by
There would
can
still be a
see it.
sign on it?
There should
Okay.
still be a sign. Yes.
All right. Okay, well, my concern is the road going up the back yet, which I don't think is, I think that ought to be done away with if you're going to split this property and let it go from boundary line to boundary line. And with that, I'm done. Thank you.
These things with
The path by the pond?
Yeah, the path.
Okay.
I mean, he's okay.
Okay.
We'll now hear from those individuals wishing to speak against this request. Which I can keep those, but no.
I think that was one.
Is there any additional information to be presented?
What road is he talking about? This path, I believe.
Public comment portion of this public hearing is now closed. Are there any questions or comments from members of the commission? You can ask your question.
Huh?
You guys have anything?
No,
I will now entertain a motion on the request.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve case number DEV-22-166, consideration of the Golden Rule Amendment, or Golden Rule, and also recommendation of the staff, correct?
We are recommending
They
denial.
recommend denial.
I thought I had read it in here.
Nope. Recommendation is denial.
Okay. That would be my motion.
For a second?
I'll second.
Is there a discussion of the motion? Roll call vote. Marcus Major,
yes.
Jaden Bailey,
Yes.
Alan Stewart,
Yes.
William Gotcha.
Again, this is for approval of this recommendation or this zoning amendment.
Correct.
Against,
And reason?
with staff on Golden Factors 1, 2, and 7.
Okay. Doug Tyson?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Wolf? Yes. Order passes 6-1. The Board of County Commissioners will consider this item no earlier than the March 1st, 2023 meeting. The commission agenda is posted on the Leavenworth County website and is available for public viewing. Why is this put on the 23rd?
Because it requires the 3 weeks. You have the protest period you have to account for.
We'll now move on to agenda case DEV 22-150. Guys, I got tabled.
129.
Yeah, 129. Case DEV 22-129, Comprehensive Plan Annual Review.
All right, Commissioners, as you guys know, you held a joint work session with the Board of County Commissioners. I believe it was January 18th, where you guys discussed some of the questions you had about direction that the Board of County Commissioners would like to go in the future. A quick synopsis was put into the staff report, if I can make it there. Sorry, I apologize, I'm not prepared. But ultimately, the takeaway that at least staff got from that work session was that there were a few additional items you would like to recommend for the 2023 review, which is to encourage subdivision developments be designed in a manner that encourages extension of utilities, such as water and sewer, and then establish a utility hookup requirement. For example, if a sewer line were to be extended out to an existing subdivision, that subdivision would then have to be hooked into the sewer district to hopefully facilitate, bringing some of these properties out of sanitary sewer and into, out of septic systems and into sanitary sewer. So that was an additional item that we noted, and that there was a desire to schedule quarterly work sessions with the Board of County Commissioners to continue to discuss ongoing some of these topics that we regularly see. That being said, staff is still recommending all of those amendments and adjustments that were identified in the December Planning Commission meeting to you, with those 3 items that were discussed from the work session. So if you have any other questions, just a reminder, you guys did hold the public hearing. It was closed. If you guys want to reopen it, that is up to you. However, you don't need to. But staff will answer any questions you may have.
I have a comment if you're open to opening
Do we want to open it, or?
I have no problem.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, prior to considering reopening this, would this require additional notice? I think it would.
Well, they tabled it to this day.
To a date
Would you
certain?
think- Yeah.
There's been new information added since then.
Mr. Chairman, it's the prerogative of this commission as to whether you wish to reopen it or not.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it if there's any information. You want to listen to the information?
We've talked about it enough.
I mean, what's it going to hurt?
Hope it makes sound.
You guys want to hear any information? Are we good?
Let's hear it. Sure.
Okay, we'll open the public portion just for comments.
Dave Otter, 23150 147th Street, Leavenworth, Kansas. I just have a few comments on this. I observed the work session. I feel that we're no further ahead on this and with some of the questions and concerns we had previously than we were back in December. So we tabled it based on, I felt a lot of that revolved around commercial recommendations for the county, specifically about the DeSoto battery plant that's going in right across the border from us. I have seen no additional staff recommendations, either from planning and zoning or from economic development, that would drive any changes to the comprehensive plan. I watched the Board of County Commissioners meeting work session. I watched the Board of County Commissioners meeting following that. I still see no additional information on that. I am a member of LCDC, which doesn't play a role in this other than the fact that I know they as a stakeholder have not been consulted by anyone in the county on any recommendations to the comprehensive plan for 2023. My concern as a member of Leavenworth County, as a business owner in Leavenworth County, and as a community member active in many organizations in Leavenworth County, that we still have zero staff input commercially for commercial zoning and planning into this plan. We haven't addressed any stakeholders in the county on any recommendations that they have. In addition to the fact that if you read the Business Journal, I think a week or two ago, there's a large multifamily unit going into DeSoto. And the exact wording from I believe it was the city administrator, was the reason why you can move this project forward is because we've already had this zoned and planned, which is allowing us to move forward in 3 to 4 months versus 12 to 18 months. That's the things that I'm looking for. And I know it's not your concern is you guys can only work with the information that you're dealt with. I personally think that as a county, the staff work on this has been very poor. And it's not your fault as a planning commission. It's the responsibility of the county staff to provide you with the information that you need to make decisions. It's the responsibility of the Board of County Commissioners to provide you the guidance that you need to make decisions. I just don't think right now, if we advance this and if we approve this, we will not address this until 2024. We've then lost a year's worth of effort towards improving the comprehensive plan instead of the economic development coordinator or the planning and zoning getting the stakeholders of the county together and building a plan that is truly going to set this county up for success as we move forward. Without that, this county will continue to flounder. We're going to miss the economic development opportunities that exist in Kansas City right now. We are literally coming out of the largest boom of industrial retail space that we've seen in Kansas City history, and the county has had almost zero. And part of it is because we don't have a plan moving forward. So I would appreciate if you would take that into account. I'm a concerned community member that volunteers my time, much like you do, to help advance this county forward. And I just don't think, it's not that I'm completely against change, but I would like to see more planning going on in the county. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I mean, since it's an open meeting, can I ask? So, you don't get away that easy.
Yes, sir.
So what is your recommendation?
You've
given us
absolutely.
each, but you haven't made any recommendations.
Sure. I would like to see, so I'm a new member of LCDC, so I'm coming in, but I see economic development around the metro area. So I'm a general contractor. I work across multiple municipalities, multiple counties, multiple cities. Lee's Summit is an excellent example of the Chamber of Commerce working together with the Economic Development Council, working together with the cities and the counties to make sure that they're driving change in a planned way. So my concern is if we don't get ahead of the developers are going to get ahead of the county. Okay, they're going to come in here and piecemeal us to death for planning and zoning changes. I would like to see us plan out where do we want the economic growth and the industrial space to be in the county. But we can only do that if we start to zone now. If we don't zone ahead of time, so I've been in multiple discussions with folks. They say, well, let's wait for the developers to come. If we wait for the developers to come, they're not going to come because they're looking for a city or a county that's easy to work with. Right now, Leavenworth is not showing itself to be an easy county to work with. If we start to zone that stuff now, it drives interest in those areas. It drives where we want to put infrastructure. So we can start to work with Evergy. So we can start to work with the water department. So we can start to work with the sewer lines. Where do we want that change to be? Are we ready to miss the worker housing multifamily opportunities that exist for DeSoto? There's no reason why that can't be going on the outskirts of Tonganoxie, the outskirts of Basur, right? Bringing that tax revenue into the county from those developments. Bringing in the businesses that are going to support the multifamily worker housing. Because they're going to be working right across the border. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Gardner and Edgerton and the intermodal facility down there. Did you know that Gardner originally was offered that intermodal facility? And they passed on it? So what did they do? They jumped across the border, put it in Edgerton. Now Gardner pays the price for road issues, as all those trucks drive through Gardner. They pay the price of the infrastructure issues, the school issues. They're paying the price for all the aspects that go along with that, but they're not getting any of the benefit from the actual intermodal facility itself. All that's going to Edgerton. So if we need to be more forward thinking. I have yet to see anything come out of the county staff that shows me that they're forward thinking. We have an economic development coordinator that's been here for a year, and he can't give any staff input into the comprehensive plan for planning and zoning. That to me is an issue. I've worked on a lot of staffs, both in the military and in commercial and civilian companies. The staff work is what drives everything. If those of you who aren't familiar, I know some are, it's not the plan, it's the planning. It's the information that you gather as a staff in the planning process that drives the future. It's not the plan itself. Because that information that you gather in the planning process is what drives future plans. It drives informational knowledge for everybody.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You bet.
The public portion of this hearing is now closed.
Wait a minute, Joe wants to talk.
Joe wants to talk? Okay, fine.
Joe Herring, 16630 Gilman Road, Leavenworth, Kansas. This is more for clarification because we're talking about utilities and extending of sewers, and during the work session we really didn't get to talk. So the sewer line gets to let's say a subdivision, and I don't know if the concept was to, once it got there, then everybody had to hook onto it and develop it, or was it when their septic system fails, then they hook on? And I don't think we ever discussed that.
It wasn't finalized. It was just something to look into.
Just something to look into. Okay. That would be my concern there. And then the other one is, much like talking about zoning and hearing the zoning case before you that didn't match comprehensive plans, that's the one that should be in front of you for rezone. The consideration of adopting the comprehensive plan as your zone. You know, of course, everybody here knows I'm in support of that and wish you would consider that again. Thank you.
Now the public portion of this meeting is now closed. Any questions or comments for staff?
I have two comments.
Okay.
And it goes back to the last meeting when we tabled the issue. First has to do with if this is a comprehensive plan, it should be comprehensive, which should also include our transportation plan. We don't have one in the county finalized, as I understand. So my recommendation, and my second point does go to, if we don't look at the South as part of the growth through the battery plant and so forth, I believe we're missing an opportunity to get out ahead. Now, our review is for 2023. And so what I would recommend tonight is that we prove that we've reviewed it and we agree with it as it says. But my belief is in our next work sessions and over the coming months, we should be trying to focus the comprehensive plan as we update it and as we move forward, that we should be looking at things that have to do with economic development and planning and zoning development down in the south part of the county. Because as I look at it, it's a big black area. I mean, it's kind of, we're saying we want to zone for 2.5 rural residential throughout it, but are there areas that we're missing down there? And so my discussion, I guess, or my point with the board is we should start looking forward. And we can do that. We have a comprehensive plan. We can approve it today. But a comprehensive plan should be a living and breathing document. And so we can look forward to the future. And as part of our work sessions, I thought it was great that the county commission agreed to do work sessions on a more frequent basis. I believe we should start pushing in that direction. And that would be my only comment. But, as far as approving, I don't think we can go back now and say, let's make all these changes. I think we approve it and then work forward and hope to see improvements, hope to see forward planning into 2024. And maybe in the comprehensive review, then we would be able to make some forward-looking changes. That's for what it's worth from my viewpoint.
Okay. Anyone else?
I concur with Mr. Tysted's observations. I think it was a very useful session, and I think we had some moments where some understanding on how things actually are handled by the county commission came out of the meeting. It was very helpful.
Well, I'm hearing more and more from people, just talking in general, about how terrible the tax rate in Leavenworth County is getting and how fast it's growing. And I agree wholeheartedly that we need to have some planning for not only retail, but also for industrial, light and heavy industrial. And right now, I just don't see it. And unless we get some tax base in this county, the rooftops aren't going to cut it. I live in Basel, outside of Basel, and if I want to buy fuel in Leavenworth or in Leavenworth County, I almost have to come up to Leavenworth, or out to Tongi. But to go grocery shopping, there again we can come up, to Eisenhower and grocery shop. But most of the people are going to Johnson County or Wyandotte County to do their shopping. We have to get in front of this. I mean, we've got some great opportunities here, and I think the housing developments are coming. Very, very nice developments coming in. But we have to have the retail outlets, and we have to have some light industrial, and we have to have some heavy industrial. At least the opportunities. So I think that's really important. We get on top of this thing as fast as we can. I agree that it's late now to do it for this year's, but I think it's something that we should have some committees formed, or we should have some kind of, through the Industrial Commission or the Economic Development Department that we have, we should have some real plans and working toward this all year long.
I was going to say, I apologize for missing the work session. I had surgery that day. Never want kidney stones again, let me tell you. First and last time, I promise. After that, it's water all day long. But there's been a lot of great discussion here on this, and I completely agree with Douglas over there, and along with what Alan said, and that is rooftops don't pay for anything compared to, as we said, roads are required, school buses, routes, schools being built. dense neighborhoods. I mean, rooftops, 2.5 acres everywhere, rooftops don't pay for anything. What it does is it incurs more debt to the county and the cities. That's what it does. The more rooftops you put in, the more roads you got to pay for. And that's great. I mean, that's good. I'm all about growth. But I am all about taking part in some of these planning and zoning meetings, if that's what it is, with the county, with our good economic developer and our new employee that's been on board for a year. And if that's the case where we can come in and join as part of that planning and commercial development, economic development, part of that growth, if we can take part of that, I self-volunteer. I volunteer for some of us to take part and be a part of those work sessions. I think that's what you're asking. I mean, that's what you're saying is, you're right, 23 is already here. 23, it's a wash. Might as well approve this and get moving. 24, let's take what the gentleman has said and take what all our constituents are saying, and let's jump on 24 and get ahead of it. Let's start looking out to.
And I mean, the board's offer, the Board of County Commission offer to do a quarterly work session or so is a vehicle that we can start to press them to move forward. We can also ask the staff to help us get the transportation folks in here.
Yeah.
The Economic Development Director, I agree that as a Planning and Zoning Commission, we should have a work session with the county economic development and put some of these issues out there. So,
And I know those county commissioners, they want this. They want that industrial growth. They want that commercial growth. I mean, they're all about it. I mean, they're on the same sheet we are. But, yeah, whatever we can do to help that plan, to help that individual, and help those meetings go, let's giddy up and go.
now, having said that, I move that we approve case DEV 22-129, the comprehensive plan annual review.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Marcus Major,
Yes.
Jaden Bailey,
Yes.
Alan Stewart,
Yes.
William Gotchick,
Yes.
Doug Tyson,
Yes.
Steve Skeet,
Yes.
Wolf Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay, passes 7-0. Board of County Commissioners will consider this item no earlier than 9 o'clock on March 1st, 2023, in Leavenworth County Courthouse. We will now adjourn from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Somebody want to step down?
Wait, we still have no.
No,
This is part of the.
we got
We got to do
to
this
go in
first.
and out real quick.
Oh, we have to adjourn it.
Yeah, because this one is for this one.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Does anybody want to sit out? Or?
I'll go sit.
Okay. Now call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Roll call vote. Marcus Major,
Here.
Jaden Bailey,
Here.
Alan Stewart,
Here.
William Gotchick,
Here.
Doug Tyson, abstaining, Steve Skeet,
Here.
Wolf Schmidt,
Here.
and Stephen, I'm here. Okay. Make sure I get the right one. Called case DEV 23-05 variance. I'm like, Bianchi. Close enough.
I think it's Benecki, but I could
Benecki?
be saying that wrong.
Okay. What is it on here? Variance request from Article 41, Section 6 of the Zoning and Subdivision Regulation is outlined, posted the agenda. Planning staff will give a report.
All right. Before you is a request to receive a variance from Article 18, Section 1.1, which is the PR1 zoning district. The property in question, which is shown up on the map there, is 00000 West Washington Street. It abuts the city of Tonganoxie, both on the north and the west and the east property lines. This property was zoned or rezoned as part of the County 1 corridor rezoning to the PR1 zoning designation a couple of years ago. Within that zoning district, we do have a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet and a maximum lot size of 10,000 square feet. The applicant has submitted a concurrent application for a preliminary and final plat, which we will get to next. However, if you did review that plat before this meeting, you will note that they are requesting two parcels that are of significant size. One is about 3.16 acres, and the other is 23.14. So obviously it exceeds the 10,000 square foot maximum required in the PR1 zoning district. Now the applicant is proposing to put a single family house, which it matches the uses permitted in the PR1 district. So we're just talking about the maximum lot size permitted in the zoning district. Staff did provide an analysis of the factors to be considered for you guys to review. There is certain hardships because this is in the Corridor 1. We have been told by the City of Tonganoxie that there is not sanitary sewer that currently goes to this property. And per the city's requirements, they actually have to have a property that is over 3 acres to be able to be on sanitary sewer, which is what's triggering that 3.16 acre size. However, sanitary sewer, like we've told you in the past, extension of utilities is considered a financial hardship. So staff determined that number 3 was a financial hardship. So that is something to consider. And then also, the PR1 zoning district was created with the intention that the lot sizes would be of pretty medium to high density, because this is abutting the City of Tonganoxie. This is where we're recommending that higher density start to happen. Future land use growth, as the City of Tonganoxie grows south, was intended for subdivisions of that size to happen here. Otherwise, staff put everything in the report. If you have any other questions about this, please let me know. I do know the applicant is in attendance tonight.
Okay. Upon opening the public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item, upon recognition, you'll give your name and address each time you begin to speak. This is necessary since the public hearing is being recorded.
Joe Herring, Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street, Leavenworth, Kansas. Staff stated it very well. This is in the PR1 zone when the Corridor 1 was hard zoned in the county. And that's where it creates the hardship on the property owners. During those meetings, which did not make it into the agreement, it was asked several times by people, if the county hard zones that corridor, can they develop at a less dense zone? And the answer was yes, but it did not make it into the document that was recorded. This has been ran through the City of Tonganoxie. They are supportive of it. They will annex the 3-acre tract once the subdivision, if it is approved, if this BZA is approved and the subdivision approved. Upon final plat, they will have to annex before building, and it will go into the city. The larger 20-something acre will still remain as a PR1 zone, and the intent is to hold on to it and possibly could be held for a 10,000 square feet minimum? Maximum development to go in there next to the city. Once the city does get sewer there, the city has no intent to get sewer there anytime soon. But they are supportive of everything that is happening out there. All utilities will go to the city. They'll be on city water. The city will annex them, city taxes, everything, city services. So this has been ran through the Leavenworth County Planning and Zoning and also through the City of Tonganoxie staff with support.
And I forgot to mention that the City of Tonganoxie and I believe the fire district's comments were provided to you today for this item. So that was what was sitting on your seats before you got here.
And the rest of the area is all on septics, and it matches the area. And one day, yes, this will be high density surrounding it when the city gets infrastructure there. The owner is here also.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Robert Benecki, 300 West Washington Street, Tonganoxie, Kansas. Thank you for serving on the board. I, too, served on the Tonganoxie Planning Commission for almost 7 years a while back, so I know all the reading that goes on with what you do. So almost 2 years ago, we bought, let me back up. We've been in this house right here just to the just above this property. I can't see up there, 302. We've been there for almost 20 years. So we bought 5 acres. We moved up here, raised our family, went to school in Tonganoxie, and we've enjoyed living there all these years. So this property around us, it's a total of 40 acres. It's 27, and then just to the east of it is another 13. I had to buy it together. So when it went for sale, our intention to buy it was really just to protect this pocket, for now. It's beautiful there. There's very limited houses. We didn't really want anybody to build around us, which is really the main reason we bought it. So we have it, and then in the meantime, my daughter, who's a single mother, she needs to move, or she didn't. She's actually living with us now. She was in another house in Bonner Springs, and she wants to build a house right there. Originally, we were going to just go with an acre for her. But then we found about the septic rule, so we had to give her 3 acres to do the septic part of it. So Mr. Herring's been working real hard with us to get to this point. Staff, I appreciate your time. We have no intention, in the near future, to do anything else with that tract of land and the 13 acres next to it. So I'd answer any questions that you may have.
And you talked to the city about annexing that into the city limits?
We did. They plan to annex it.
But who around there has to agree to annex in as well? How many people around that has to agree to be annexed into?
So just to the east, there's a residence. That was the original owner of all this land lived there, and they sold it, just 3 acres there. So there's only 5 residents in this dead-end street. When you go west there on Washington Street from 2440, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. That's it.
For a point of clarification, this is the only parcel that accesses off of West Washington Street that's in the county. The rest of them are all within the city of Tonganoxie. So.
Right.
So his east line is the city limit line?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, like Kane's Farm is not in the city limits, and it's on the bottom of that.
But they don't access
As
off
of West Washington, no.
They come off.
Oh, yeah.
So which one is the 10 acres additional that you have? Is it
2.03.
So
2.03? Okay.
My current acreage is 5, and it's like an L, if you look at it right there to the
Yeah, I
west.
see that, yeah.
It's an L. It's very odd shaped. Mr. Stoltenberg, he lives in the other 5 acres to that big rectangle to the west there. And then there's an easement right through it that Mr. Needham owns the 77 acres across the hill. That's an access to his property. So if this is approved, there'll still be access along that eastern edge to that back 20, 24, whatever it ends up being. So there'll be access from Washington back there for future development if that's what ends up happening. And then also into that other 13 acres, which is already annexed into the city.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any additional information to be presented?
Public comment?
Oh. Is anyone else willing to speak or close? Need to close the public comment?
I just want to make sure you give time if anybody else wants to get up and speak.
There's only 2 people behind you.
You never know.
Are there any questions or comments, commissioners? I will now entertain a vote or a motion.
I think you'll want to close the public hearing.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Thought I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
You interrupted me, but I was doing
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's closed now.
It's closed
Okay,
now.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve case BV-23-005. One of the factors would be playing this part because the city of Tonganoxie is in favor of this. I'll second.
Any discussions of the motion? Roll call vote. Marcus Major,
Yes.
Jaden Bailey,
Yes.
Alan Stewart,
Yes.
William Gotchick,
Yes.
Doug Tysted, Steve Skeet,
Yes.
Will Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay. Vote passes 6-0. We will now close the Board of Zoning Appeals and reopening the Board of Planning and Zoning.
Just like that, huh?
Just like that. We will now hear case DEV 22-167/168, Oak Ridge Estates second plat.
All right. You guys have already seen the property, so I don't have to tell you the location. Before you is a request for a preliminary and final plat for Oak Ridge Estates second. They are proposing 2 lots. One would be 3.16 acres. The other would be 23. Didn't I just say that? 0.1 acres. As mentioned during the Board of Zoning Appeals case, they are intending to put a single-family house on the 3.16 acre. Because it is 3 acres, they would then fall in the exception, according to the City of Tonganoxie's regulations, to allow for a septic system. So the city indicated that they were in favor of waiving any sanitary sewer requirements that is within 660 feet. Their email was included in the staff report. Additionally, they had indicated that the second lot, which has 100 feet of frontage, which matches the minimum standards for the PR1 district, would be used for future development at a higher density in the future, obviously. That being said, that lot actually does not meet lot depth to lot width requirements, so you would need to grant them an exception to the lot depth to lot width. In addition to that, they are creating a non-parallel or perpendicular lot with that side lot, the shared lot between, lot line between lot 1 and lot 2. So they would need another exception from the requirement that it has to be 90 degrees from the right-of-way. That being said, you guys did approve the variance, and staff added in the proposed conditions that they would need to include a notation stating that the variance had been approved, if you so choose to approve this plat. With that, that's all of staff's comments, so if you have any questions, let me know.
Does the applicant wish to speak? Is there any additional information?
No, sir.
Any questions or comments?
The city is in supportive of it, is what I heard, what I read. And it does require a lot of variances based on 3.18 versus. Is there any particular reason why it couldn't be drawn parallel or something? I mean, that's.
They're trying to mimic the boundary line to the east there. From talks that we've had with Joe Herring, and he can further explain this if he needs to, the intention is that 100-foot frontage is going to be the road access from Washington Street down to where the development will happen in the main body on the south part there. So they're just wanting to keep a straight line, and just for a roadway, they're intending to put any property along that area. But Joe can elaborate if you need.
Okay. I will entertain a motion on the request.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve case number DEV-22-167/168.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion of the motion? I'll take a roll call vote. Marcus Major?
Yes, and this includes all the variances and everything else that we said we're approving. Correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Jaden Bailey?
Yes.
Alan Stewart?
Yes.
William Gotchick?
Yes.
Tysted,
Yes.
Steve Skeet,
Yes.
Paul Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. Board of County Commissioners will consider this item no earlier than February 23rd, 2023 meeting. The Commission's agenda is posted on the Leavenworth County website and is available for public viewing. And do you want to say anything about work
Yes.
sessions?
So we have talked about having more training sessions with you guys, and we haven't had one obviously since November due to the comprehensive plan, the work session, all that. So is there any dates and times that are upcoming that you guys would like to reconvene and have another training session? If we go with how we were planning it in November, like the last week of November, maybe meeting during Wednesday the same time, which would be, what day is that?
I just prefer,
22nd, yeah.
evening.
Yeah, we discussed doing it
Or March 1st, yeah.
right before our meetings when we discussed doing them.
Oh, that's right, we did. So do you guys want to meet then maybe an hour before the March 8th meeting, so 4:30?
I won't be able to make that. I have patience.
Yeah, I can't make, I rushed to make the 5:30.
Yeah. Could we do after?
Either
Yeah,
that, or
we
could
can
we
do
add
it
an additional
after-
Wednesday night instead of just one Wednesday night a month? Maybe we add an
Right, so
additional
in
at the same
no-
time, 5:30 or something.
Right, in November we had your regular meeting and then we met that last Wednesday at 5:30 regular time. So if there's a timing issue, because sometimes these meetings really do go very long, so having it after might not be advisable.
Maybe do it a week after our meeting.
You can do it a week after your meeting.
Still be 5:30 on Wednesday.
That'd be next Wednesday at 5:30 versus the 22nd.
I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Well, I'm
What's
looking at
next?
March.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
looking
you
at
want
March,
to
right?
you want to schedule
I
it
was looking at
March?
versus like,
You'd be looking at March 15th.
Yeah.
The Ides of March.
The odds, beware of Crassus, or Cassius.
Does that work? Well, I guess you can send out an email and we can.
Yep, we can verify. But
let's
so
do
far, March 15th at 5:30
Tentatively, yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to look at my site.
for March. Yep.
And these are the ones we want to do kind of quarterly, or?
I mean, since we have a lot of new members, we were thinking at least monthly for right now, and then
Okay.
maybe ongoing, trying to do more training sessions with you guys regularly.
This one, we should bring our big white binders.
Please bring your big white binders. Yes.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, we're adjourned.